Oh yeah, when we talk about a terrific Tuesday, and if my brother's in trouble, so am I. Man, I've got one of my brothers in the studio, and he comes this and every Tuesday, and he's preempted the strike, I tell you. Walks in and says, "Why aren't you wearing red?" Surely. Tuesday for Friday. See, I told you about this, man. Hakuna kitu inanisumbuanga, by the way.
Happy Valentine's from Monday to Saturday.
And I see Kenyans just walking on Friday and he's just wearing red. That's it. Should be wearing red every day, by the way. But he only celebrates love one day in the year anyway. Best behavior, whoever gets to the studio. It is after 5. It is a Tuesday. That means it's time for what we call Legal Tuesday. All right. And you know what we have in the studio? All right. Obviously, on this Tuesday to discuss to divorce or not to divorce. That is the question. And listen, you've got yourself a legal dilemma. How about you do this, all right? Get onto Spice FM KE, get onto X, and then it's hashtag Spice Drive, hashtag Legal Tuesdays, and then ask that question. And in the studio, doing the Lord's work, we call it Yani Pro Bono, yeah? They come into studio, alafu wanajibu swali yako, yeah? And then after they've given you answer, you then decide, either the answer will be satisfactory, ama you'll go to their respective chambers, lakini hapo utafungua file. Before you get to see them, imagine there's a receptionist, and that person, they'll be yo kufungua file, they don't just open a file. Ni pesa utaweka down. Ni bas. Yeah, so in studio, kama kawaida, and wearing red. So you've got to live stream this, by the way. We're live on Facebook. It's spicefm.co.ke, and this man is colorblind. For that is maroon. I don't see any red there, by the way.
maybe that's the red we're talking about for Sarita. Red and
sherry. It was called sherry red. Yeah. Indeed. Yes. So he is partner at Ngungi Mburu Advocates. It's Advocate Eliud Ngungi Esquire. Karibu sana, my brother. Yeah. And Deremo. No, you see, today I'm confused because we have a lady. So just hold on. There we go. The men's conference?
Yes.
What is that, by the way?
We are leaving tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let me ask you, bro. Does the wife know?
We are going for a conference. Very important conference.
Yes, but is she aware that you're going for this conference?
We are going for a conference. It's important for us to attend this conference.
Yeah, anyway, let me not disparage for... remember I told you, back in the day when we were living the single life. Now there's the men's conference. It's in Naivasha,
No, this time around, I think it's in...
Maimayu. It's in what? Oh, good one.
You know, men make poor liars, so it's okay.
The worst. She's even thinking about the location. Okay, Eliud.
Lakini for the alternative, if you're not going for that men's conference, remember chama ni moja, KFA, Kenya Floaters Association. Okay, just but you will never be a member of that chama, my guy. Valentine's Day, just sitting here on my gents, insulting and disparaging other people as you sit there and enjoy your drink, waiting for the midnight hour. Can this day just end? Valentine's, and all. You see, I speak in anger, but you see now, in studio and best behavior, all right, she's also a high advocate of this High Court of the Republic of Kenya, member of the Law Society of Kenya, and brought some sunshine on this Tuesday evening. Lynn Ngungi, senior partner. Yes, Lynn Nganga, senior partner. Who's Ngungi? It makes you sound like Mr. and Mrs. I apologize. No. And Lynn, the law firm is?
Lynn Wanjiru Nganga and Company Advocates.
I love that title. Lynn Wanjiru Nganga and Company Advocates. Karibu sana. Welcome to Legal Tuesday. Now, for one to follow you, what are your handles there, Lynn?
Wow. And you start with the one question that will embarrass me.
Are you serious?
LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
that's good.
Okay, you could find me on LinkedIn. Oh, actually, let me start with, scrap that. That's the second one. The first one is you just Google my 3 names, Lynn Wanjiru Nganga. There's our website.
I love... Where? It's a website. Baba, please, follow up quick fast. You do...
I have a website.
It's just you never mentioned
I
it.
have a website.
Is it active?
Oh my gosh.
Active. It is active. Ngugimuro.com. Wakili Ngungi on X,
Right.
TikTok, Instagram, and Eliud Ngungi on LinkedIn.
Right. So, Lynn, welcome. And
Thank you.
for you, because you are uninitiated, lakini kama kawaida, you know what to do. So, before we get to the question at hand, by the way, at Spice FM KE, let's talk about matters pertaining legal issues that have come up over the past week. Now, yesterday, Mariam, I was on That's to Netflix, and I watched a mini-series called Surviving Black Hawk Down. And advocates, this is the story of 1993 when Bill Clinton sent some U.S. forces to Mogadishu to help the UN peacekeepers keep peace. Okay. And then they got into some sort of a kerfuffle trying to find the late, great Muhammad Farah Aidid. So this docu was basically explaining the Somalian question and how the Americans were chased out of Mogadishu for I hope this is not profiling, but let me tell you, those warriors know how to fight. Now that said, the boss was there last week. I hope you can multitask, Advocate Ngungi, because like I said, please get off X. So anyway, so now last week, obviously there's been a hue and cry, and everybody's like, the boss was there last week and he says, now anyone who is Kenyan by birth, and clearly he was in the NFD, yes, those ones, forget all of these, all these barriers that they have faced to get registered as Kenyan citizens. Now let's make it easier for them to become Kenyans. Aside from politicians, the political class from that area, the rest of Kenyans are like, no. And we said this yesterday. There's a reason why Uhuru tried to build a wall. Okay? So the thing is this. How hard it is. If somebody is born in Kenya, because a lot of us, for the people who are wise, a lot of Kenyans used to, one gets pregnant, one gets on a jet plane, and then one goes to the global north, and then one gives birth there. The global north, now they're saying, especially I know the UK, they're like, hey, pause. Even if you give birth here, please, does not necessarily mean that that child is a British citizen. Donald Trump, I know he's trying to change that legislation as well. Mm-hmm. In Kenya, if you're born in Kenya, does that automatically make you a Kenyan citizen? Lynn?
If one of your parents is Kenyan, then yes, you automatically qualify.
Safi. I asked that because there's a refugee camp called Dadaab that is like, it's been there for 40 plus years. And apparently, and I was watching a docu again. You see, I watch a lot of documentaries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not only in Diana Jones. So apparently, there are people who have been in there since the beginning. Those people have got families. Those families, obviously, people do things and then they have given birth. Are those refugees that have given birth to children there, are they Kenyan?
So the constitution states that if one of the parents in the camp is Kenyan, then that child qualifies.
I see. Kenyan. So technically, then they are not Kenyan, right? If they are both.
Yes.
What do you call them? Somalis or warriors?
Warriors.
Oh, thank you. So if they're both Somalis,
they're both foreigners.
Yes,
They are foreigners.
Yes.
Yes, it means the children or the child is not Kenyan.
So, Eliud, what is the process now for? What has been the challenge for people from the NFD? Don't worry, if you don't know, I'll ask Lynn. What has been the challenge when they say it is very hard, technically, for them to get registered as Kenyan citizens? What is different from them to get registered vis-a-vis, should we say, the rest of us?
Well, there was a requirement for individuals to go through interviews.
Okay.
And there's a long procedure that was introduced. I believe in the Uhuru government, the first term. And so that was more restrictive and more, what's the word? it will slow down the whole process.
Yes. So it was cumbersome. Yes.
And so for them, they felt that there would be because of where being associated with the neighboring countries.
Yes.
Then they would easily be denied their right to become citizens or to register as citizens of the republic.
Right.
And so that is what has been waived, that whole process of interviewing and going through that cumbersome process.
But
yeah.
Okay, now thank you for clarifying that one. So that is now, so do you think it's going to be, so it's generally easier? And if, for example, now a foreigner, a Rwandan, a Burundian, these guys who are here selling jugu nuts, okay? What is their process if they want to become citizens? You have to stay here for how long? Do we have that thing? How long?
7 years.
7, yeah. 7 years. You have to be in the country for 7 continuous.
Hold on. Continuous means without leaving, going even shags.
Yes.
For Christmas.
Leaving the country.
Without leaving Kenya.
Okay. So
and you need to produce your work permits or documentation to show how you first entered the country.
Okay.
So yeah.
So those ones who use panya roots and they're selling njugu, they cannot stay here for 7 years, then go to Nyaya House and say, surprise.
You see, there are different ways you could be in the republic.
Yes.
It could be through a work permit, a spousal, yeah, it could be student pass.
No.
So,
Eliud, no. That guy in Mombasa Road selling nuts, I don't think he's either a student or he got a work permit.
So then it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
It becomes difficult because if you come in through the right channels,
But
there's a process, there's a payment, there's documentation that you are able to keep.
right.
There's documentation that we can find on your file.
Right.
And so when it comes to the time where you need to then apply to register as a Kenyan,
Yeah.
then you have to produce this evidence or
Right.
documentation for
Right.
it to be approved.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one, Doc. Another one, now this one is from last week. The Kenya Medical KMPDC, all right? And it was a press release where they said, press release on the use of the title doctor. Okay. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council is concerned about the increase of the number of online platforms where individuals claiming to be medical professionals provide false medical advice and treatment to unsuspecting users. Okay. So apparently Section 22.3 of the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Act Cap 253 laws of Kenya states that any person who uses the title doctor, unless he is registered or licensed under this act as a medical practitioner or dentist, or has acquired doctoral qualifications or has obtained such qualifications which entitles him to use that title, commits an offence and shall be liable to conviction, to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years or both. Advocates. First of all, there was an advocate, there was somebody who, these people will be known as quacks. There was a guy, remember that story, Mariam? I don't know, he reminded me of Lord of the Rings. That guy had a beard. And then he claimed to be an advocate. Remember that guy? And apparently, what I found funny is that all cases he was winning. Yeah, he was winning. What did you guys do? What was the end story for that one?
It's still ongoing. There's a criminal case ongoing. Yeah, for Brian.
Yeah, that Brian chap.
Yes.
You know him personally, ne?
No, I don't know.
The way you say it, you don't even call me Edward, you know. Yeah, for Brian. Now, in terms of the title doctor, are you saying that if I get those honorary degrees, like the one that they gave to Sudi?
Not that example.
Okay.
The engineers have already reacted.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, then they would give. I saw there's a member of parliament, and I'm assuming it wasn't an honorary doctorate. Is that an issue?
You see,
you study for it. You don't wake up and you're given one. I think you need
it's
to
a
study.
title that comes with responsibility.
Yes. So what responsibility have you shown to qualify for such a title?
Okay, so those compose that, for example, the one they gave to Mandela.
No, that one is given.
Yeah.
There's a provision. There's a provision that institutions have to, through their senate or their leadership, they have to scrutinize the paperwork of any individual who has done something impactful in the society.
Sharp.
So if you have maybe, of course, impactful. You have donated and you have supported the institution. You have stood out in the society or in the country. For example, the former Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, Senior Counsel Kalonzo Musyoka, has one. And so it's because of his engagement in the peacekeeping outside the country. And so those ones are different, and they have a provision. They are provided for. But individuals who come in and just because I cure or I give solutions, for example, I'm a mechanic and I now create a pseudo account, not a pseudo account, I create an account on X and I call myself Daktari wa Magari, or I could just call myself Dr. Mandela. You see, now that becomes an issue because you have nothing to show for it. These other individuals can show that they have been awarded. They went through a process, through an institution that recognized their work in the society. But for you who is a mechanic or maybe you're in the industry, it could even be myself or Lynn here, being an advocate. And she says she's Daktari wa divorce. And she calls herself that on social media. You see, that's misleading and a misrepresentation and probably demeaning of that title.
Is President Ruto a doctor?
Yeah.
He is, huh?
Yeah, he's got a PhD.
Okay.
But some they're looking for it, but there's two theses. They can't find it yet. But that's a story for another day. So now, where I come from, people will swear that in terms of treatment, Lynn, you know what a jajwok is? That's a witch doctor, a traditional healer. Now, that's treatment. If they come to you and say, I'm also a doctor, would that be a problem? Would you defend that as lawyers? Because they treat patients.
Do they have a certificate? I'm assuming they have a degree.
No.
They have a degree showing that there's a medical...
But they treat people.
You have to be certified by the board. So
I was going to say.
Okay.
See, there's a provision, that's strict provision under the Kenyan Medical and Dentists Practitioners.
Yes.
Act.
Okay.
That allows and that defines who should have the title doctor.
All right.
So just by the mere fact that you can, so I see guys are now, because of this whole conversation about mental health.
Right.
And I attend a course or two for a month.
By the way, yes.
And now I am dealing with the psychological aspect of this, and I'm able to become maybe a coach to help you work through this issue, mental issue. I've seen some people putting these titles to themselves.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Now, it cannot be a Tuesday if we do not discuss the Supremes, not the group. This would be the the justices of the Supreme Court. And we saw a Republic of Kenya Judicial Services Commission of Kenya petition number 3 of 2025, Nelson Harvey against Justice Joki Susanna Ndongo, notice of appointment of advocates. And it reads, take notice that Justice Joki Susanna Ndongo has, from the date hereof, appointed Messrs. Mukite, Musangi and Company advocates to act on her behalf in this matter. Henceforth, their address of service for the purposes of this suit shall be care of Musangi and Company advocates, wherever they're located, blah, blah, blah. What does this mean?
It means that she has appointed an advocate to represent her.
In what?
As in the suits that are ongoing with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court judges have been sued.
Okay.
So one has a right to seek legal counsel. So she has just sought legal counsel as herself, as an independent person in the bench.
Right. So Lynn, just remind us, they have been sued for what? By whomst?
Is it Nelson Harvey?
Yes.
Yes. Amongst many other orders, but just misconduct, bribery, corruption.
Right.
Yeah, they're just saying the Supreme Court in general is corrupt and they need to go.
Okay. So who's going to hear this suit, by the way?
Is there a bench that has been formed? I would imagine that a bench will be formed with senior judges to handle such a nature. But maybe Eliud can comment on whether...
It's like you've thrown him under the bus.
That is the position he would take.
That whole position. This is basically the JSC. The whole conversation we've been having here with you about the dissatisfaction or just complaints.
Yes.
Where individuals have felt that some judicial officers are not conducting themselves in the right way.
Right.
And a case in mind is this one of the senior counsel, Ahmed Nasir.
Yes.
So this has taken a different route because whenever we have petitions filed against a judicial officer, you as a petitioner you could be a litigant, someone who has filed a case in court, and you are unhappy that your judgment has taken so long. So you decide, I think I need to complain about this judicial officer, that they are no longer showing up for duty, and that's why my case has taken 20 years.
Right.
So you file a petition, and you file it at the Judicial Service Commission. At the Judicial Service Commission, the people who sit there are led by the Chief Justice, Deputy Representatives of the different categories of the courts in Kenya, Public Service Commission. They look at this petition, and if it meets a certain criteria, then they will make a recommendation to the president, for the president to appoint a tribunal, this tribunal to look into the issue about this judge or magistrate's conduct. And so in this case, a petition has been filed against the judges of the Supreme Court of Kenya, and they have taken a different route where now one judge has decided to get a representative, to get an advocate to defend her.
Okay. Yeah. Now, to us, the layman, the mwananchi, would that come across as she has, she's got a case to answer, ama it's just she done enough time? Shut up, children. I've got better things to do than haggle back and forth.
To be mwananchi, I think you and I, as wananchis, having an understanding of what the Constitution provides for, that every person in this republic has a right to representation.
Right.
So whether you are in civil service and whether you are in the private industry, you have a right to legal representation. Anytime you are sued, you can come to Lynn and to Eliud Ngungi and request us to represent you in court.
Very good.
And so it doesn't communicate
that she's guilty.
The judge
it doesn't.
Is just utilizing the law just like any of us whenever we are faced with any legal issue.
Now, Lynn, speaking of utilizing your legal rights and your provisions and your services, madam, I don't know if over the course of the weekend you saw you said you've met him, Caliph Cairo, ne?
Yes.
Okay, you weren't sure whether you met him or not. You just wanted to decide whether you're going to say yes.
No, I mean, the meeting was all personal, so yeah. But
you shall explain that later. But anyway, that said, you saw him over the weekend, living it up in Dubai.
Yes.
Living his best life, telling Kenyan, Sasa, Tadu, I'm here with this guy jet skiing, quad bike riding. And then not too long ago, he was fundraising. Yeah, he's trying to get, I think it was 12 mic or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But now clearly he's back. So anyway, Kenyans are pissed. Some are. The question, advocates, that one asks, there's, we have seen the political class, right? A few cases, instances where somebody they know that they're about to be arrested. Then they come to your respective chambers and they say, listen, do your best. And it's called, may shrub. It's called anticipate, that one. Bail.
Anticipatory.
That one. Can, that to be clear, that says basically they cannot be arrested, is it? Yes? Once you get anticipatory bail, right? You cannot be arrested. Can this chap do the same thing?
No.
It is actually, because you've gone ahead of them.
Yes.
Okay.
So if he's clever, he should be doing that basically and get. Is it one size fits all, or for every case he's got to get anticipatory bail?
It's not given that you're going to get.
You've got to go and explain.
You have to explain why you want to be granted or to be protected from sleeping inside. Custody.
Yeah. No, but he was given his passport. I mean, there it clearly says, I need to be outside to raise money.
So, the issue here is, the thing is, if you can convince a judge that they are coming for you, and this is what has given you that fear, that they are coming for you,
yes,
then you'll be able to get this anticipatory bail.
Right.
But if you can't, it's not a one size fit all.
But
that I misbehave out here, and actually, when you misbehave out there and your conduct is somehow proving that you are not remorseful, for example, you are likely to miss out on such an order. Yeah.
All right. Advocate Nganga, now
you don't seem to agree.
I just don't understand why he would apply for anticipatory bail. He doesn't qualify. I think what he qualifies is to ask the court not to revoke his bail terms because he's already out.
Right.
It's not illegal for him to go to Dubai unless the bail terms say you cannot travel outside the country.
No, but now let's say, for example, Mariam was wise enough to give him 3 mic. Yeah. And then on Thursday, this guy, Anaskia Fununu, chief, they're coming to arrest you on Thursday. Can he then come to you tomorrow and say, make sure you get me this no?
Yeah, that even me, I'd be like, you need to really convince the court.
But okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, speaking of the court, you did say that there are cases that have been there since for eons, 20, 30 years. And I found this very interesting. Apparently, the High Court Organization and Administration Act of 2015, establishment of a civil appellate division. In exercise of the powers conferred by section whatever, the Chief Justice has established as Civil Appellate Division of the High Court of Kenya at Milimani Law Courts with effect from the 10th of Feb, which was yesterday, 2025. It was not there before.
Yeah, it was not. And you see, there is an act of parliament, the one you have referred to, the High Court Organization and Administration Act, which basically sets out the mandate of the Chief Justice and the different duties that she can carry out, the different duties that can be carried out by people we call deputy registrars and judges also. And so,
sorry, Advocate Ngungi, let's start at the beginning. So, is there a criminal appellate division?
No, there's none. So I was going to that. I was saying,
I was not a good student.
This act allows the Chief Justice to create different, I think called not departments. What are they called? Divisions. And so it gives her that power. And so she has gone ahead to utilize that power and to create this special appellate division in the High Court, which basically means when you are unhappy with a decision made in the magistrate's court, instead of going to a different division in the High Court or going straight to the civil division, you can now go to this appellate division to have your matter reviewed and considered, and that decision considered. So it means that there is ease of, or rather there is reduction of the caseload that was there in this other division, because now we have formed an extra like a classroom. When you go into a stream, and as a school grows, they create more streams. So you go to a secondary school, it has 2 streams. You go to a high school and it has 5 streams. Now this High Court has an additional stream now that is able to cater for the needs that are there. And now each one of us with our cases, we expect that we'll be able to get quicker determination of cases.
I like the way he breaks down things. He explains things like you're speaking to children. Good job, by the way, my brother. Fantastic. Now, finally, Mariam brought this up, and it really threw me for 6 because I didn't get it. Now, you said they have gazetted?
Actually, as at February 2025, intersex are recognized as a third gender in Kenya.
Okay.
That's confirmed here.
Now, Intersex, you are talking about, and this, we discussed this.
Yes.
So you're talking about like Casta Semenya.
Yes.
Okay. What on earth does that mean? Advocates. Before, what were they? They were recognized as what? You had to choose
either male or female.
Okay.
But what does that mean for the sports fraternity, for the marriage? In Kenya, you're only allowed to marry male and female, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what does that mean for adoption?
Real?
Yeah. We don't. Yeah. What does that really mean when you?
Actually, I don't know why I'm perplexed because I don't know why they had to specify that because I don't know why that was written there as a clause. You can either only marry male or female. Okay, now clearly those. Okay.
I'd also ask what each one of us under the Constitution, Bill of Rights, we have innate rights that have been given to us. When you're born in this country, you get the right to enjoy. Right to life is Article 27 that allows you to enjoy the right not to be discriminated upon based on your gender. And so we are also human beings who require to have to enjoy this right. And a while ago, there was a case that was filed in court and was determined, I believe, by a current sitting judge of the High Court and my former teacher.
Tell them.
At Kenya School of Law. And very passionate judge and senior counsel. Yeah, Justice Chigiti. Very passionate about this issue on intersex. And there was a baby who was born and the parents were being denied a birth certificate because when you apply for a birth certificate, you need to distinguish. It's easy to distinguish the gender of a child. And through that, these parents went to court. And this baby, called baby A, when they went to court, the court agreed with them and ordered that a registration be done for this child. And this child be issued with a birth certificate. And therefore that created a conversation that led to part of the amendment of the Children's Act of 2022. Under Section 21 has a provision on the rights of intersex. And now they are recognized under the law of Kenya that they can now be able to enjoy every other right that you and I, male and female, are able to enjoy.
But what happens when it comes to the marriage institution? Because again, that's a different law. When it comes to sports, you can only participate in female sports as a female. And does it mean that they have to create a totally different category for these people?
There's a bill in court. There's a bill not in court. In Parliament, Intersex Persons Bill 2022 that is looking at some of these issues. Okay. Because we are developing the law. We are trying to catch up. And mind you, Kenya is the first African country to recognize the intersex. It was the first one.
I like that.
So we have made great milestones as a country.
Intersex came to me top of mind because of Casta Semenya, who's South African. And they say South Africa is the most, they have one of the, is it liberal or whatever, constitutions on this continent. They have not recognized the intersex?
According to my research, we are the first ones in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
We should clap for ourselves.
Yeah. Good job. I'm just thinking about toilet breaks. Now, that said, now, you know what? Thank you very much, advocates there, Ngungi, Nganga. Now, let's go to now the question at hand. Mariam says that a lot of people do not go through the process, Lynn, because you people charge a lot of money. The process is expensive. Don't look at me like that. Am I putting words in your mouth? No, that's what you say. That's what you say.
Divorce is expensive in Kenya, right?
The question is, I will ask her, to divorce or not to divorce? That is the question. So speaking of the question, somebody's written in and says, hi, Wakilis. I've been in a marriage for 26 years, and we have 2 adult children who are each pursuing their own paths. At this point, our marriage exists purely for public appearance. We live under the same roof, but in separate rooms. And we only communicate when absolutely necessary. Our love faded about 8 years ago, and we have since stopped loving each other, but we are both perfectly fine with it. My husband has a mistress, and I'm also in another relationship. While this is no longer a true marriage, we have never considered separation or divorce, since we have given each other the freedom to be with whomever we choose. I see no compelling reason to either stay or leave. Wakilis, what would you advise? Would it be reasonable to pursue a divorce in such a situation? That said, this story is not unique, maybe aside from the fact that everyone is playing away games and then they come back majoni. That was a bit nani. Lakini separate rooms, living separate lives, even that one communicating. There are a lot of people who are listening right now. They're like, yeah, that's not new. Is it because, as Miriam says, when we come to your respective chambers, you'll be like, yeah, that's great. Let's go for it, but this is the cost implication. Is getting a divorce akin to buying land in Upper Hill? The lawyers are here. They'll give you... Remember, it's Valentine's week. Love's a beautiful thing. We'll get to that when we get back next. All right, it is Legal Tuesday. This and every Tuesday, they are in studio to do the Lord's work, which means, you know what? They're here to answer your legal questions pro bono. Yabo? And kama kawaida, holding fort, man, he is a partner at Ngungi Mburu Advocates. It's the one and only advocate, Eliud Ngungi Esquire. Future CJ. Yawa. Professor. Yani advocate Nganga is on the floor. She cannot believe vile nimekusifu vile mbaya. And speaking of advocate Nganga, she's joined us this week. Remember, in 2025, we're upping our game, man. So we get two advocates, and they give us the yin and yang. Yeah, differing points of view. Hopefully, they'll come to the same conclusion. She is senior partner at Lynn, Wanjiru, Nganga and Company Advocates. It is Lynn Nganga. Karibu sana. Hold on. No, for you, we must do the work of him. So the question was, to divorce or not to divorce? It's Valentine's week. And even growing up, you hear those stories, you go and visit them, auntie so-and-so and uncle so-and-so, and you can see them. They're in the same digo, but they're not same. You know, together but apart. And we're like, yeah, even as kids, you're like, that's toxic. People, some of us, even me, myself, you know, the last one, we're living in the same house. It gets to the stage where you communicate via post-its on the fridge, buy milk. Surely. Just going home, yani, is tired. It's an exercise. Lakini, you see lawyers, and maybe the impression that you get is from what you see on your TVs, what you read on your newspapers, what you hear on the radios. We want to demystify that. Because, Mariam, you says that to you, the divorce process, the perception out there is that if you go to either Advocate Nganga or Advocate Ngungi's respective chambers,
yes,
the bill is going to be long.
Yep, it's very expensive.
Okay, so then back to the question. With that top of mind, somebody wrote in and says, hi, Wakilis. I've been in a marriage for 26 years, and we have 2 adult children who are each pursuing their own paths. At this point, our marriage exists purely for public appearance. We live under the same roof, but in separate rooms, and we only communicate when absolutely necessary. They're in the same WhatsApp group. Our love faded about 8 years ago, and we have since stopped loving each other, but we are both perfectly fine with it. My husband has a mistress, and I'm also in another relationship. While this is no longer true marriage, we have never considered separation or divorce. Since we have given each other the freedom to be with whomever we choose, I see no compelling reason to either stay or leave. Lawyers, what would you advise? Would it be reasonable to pursue a divorce in such a situation? Now, obviously, we have spoken about, Advocate Ngungi, we have spoken about separation, divorce, the laws, various times here. But here in this particular scenario, Lynn, first of all, is divorce generally expensive in Kenya? Now, is it dependent on socioeconomic manenos?
No.
No?
No.
So whether in terms of just filing for that, what is the process? No, let's start at the beginning. What is the process of filing for divorce in this our republic?
So I'll comment on it if you're getting a lawyer perspective.
Yes.
So you come to a lawyer, they explain to you the different types of the grounds that are available for divorce and the steps. So the step is you qualify under which ground. If it's adultery, we put. If it's a desertion, cruelty, whatever, you can put all the grounds, one ground, whatever you feel suits your story, you put it in the petition. So you file a divorce petition in the courts. It generally
is it a flat fee?
For filing, yes. There's a filing fee in the e-filing system. It's 1,000 bob.
Right. Umesikia Mariam?
1,000.
Aji. 2 embassy lights.
So once you file, you wait for the court to produce what is called a notice to appear. It's a court-generated document. That's the document you require to serve the other person. It takes 7 to 14 days for the courts to sign it. It's a court-generated document. So upon execution of that document, you receive it and you serve it on the respondent, who is the other spouse.
Am I paying anything at this point for you to serve?
They have paid legal fees. They have paid us a deposit to have all this. It depends. Okay, in fact, it depends on what you're asking in the divorce petition. You can come in and say, I want a divorce and I want maintenance from my spouse because your spouse was maintaining you. You can come and say, I want restraining orders. The more you ask for orders, the more the fee.
Okay.
If you only just ask for a divorce in your document, then your fee is less.
Give us rough figures.
You see. You see.
You
don't ask lawyers the fees. You're about to.
Let me jump in and say, in your trade, wherever you are at, whether you have a business, whether you are employed, wherever you are at, you have a prize.
I did.
You coming in as a manager at this level in this industry, or coming in as a salesperson, you have a prize. You've gone to school, you have documents, you have certificates you've worked hard for, you have experience that you have acquired over a long period of time. And so you cannot just come and say, it's a standard fee. I hear so-and-so is charging X and Y. No. Different people, and you're coming to me because there's something that has attracted you to me, or rather there's communication that has been given to you, and you are told that this advocate is able to handle you, because divorce issues are very emotive. You need someone you can talk to. We are more of counselors. So you need an advocate who is going to listen to you. Pick that call even on a weekend when you're feeling low. And probably that's what you're looking for. You need to talk to that advocate and say, hey, I am feeling very angry today. Did we file this document? Today he tried breaking into my door and he was demanding, or she was demanding, for Valentine's money because she wanted to go for a trip. And you need, depending with your needs, what my colleague here is saying, your need will determine the fee you pay.
I like that. So, Advocate Nganga, so, Ngungi has just said that you guys are more like counselors. So, I walk in, right? Do you first try and dissuade me from filing as like, do you do it? Is there a checklist? Are you like, hey. Are you sure? Yeah? You're like, okay, sit down, let's talk. These are the various, and then I wanted to ask you, there was adultery. You said there was, are there a certain number of them?
Yes.
Can you tell us what they are, please?
Adultery.
Right.
Which is when you cheat on your spouse. Then there's cruelty, which is emotional, verbal, psychological, and physical abuse.
Right.
Then there's desertion, where you left your partner for a period of 3 years consecutively.
Right.
And then there's irretrievable breakdown of marriage.
And how this would be irretrievable? Would it be irretrievable breakdown of marriage? Now you see, like now in a scenario like this, then, is it because adultery? sons, you people and your partners. Is it based on evidence, or what is that based on? Because what do you ask them? Do you ask them, prove it? Or nimesikia Mariam aliona nani na kaka yake daddy. What does it take for one to then... next is affidavit stage, is that it?
No, it's twofold.
Right.
So when you come to me and you tell me your spouse has been adulterous, I'll ask you, do you have proof? If you don't, it's okay, because the courts are cognizant that you're not in a marriage to keep evidence. You're not just looking around, let me get this because I want to divorce.
Okay.
So the courts are alive to that fact, and they will appreciate that you were in a marriage to stay, and if you don't have the evidence, but you have the experience of how it made you feel, you'll qualify.
Okay, and then thank you for clarifying that one. Wow. So the one that is basically, it's either here or there, then of course is that one of physical violence, because there'll be, right?
Evidence.
But where there's emotional, and that one, it's basically now it's up to you as the lawyers, then the judge, then we see how it goes, right? Do we have to go, if I come to you, does it have to go through a court of law? You can sort it out, you two lawyers, and divorce is done and dusted.
The good thing is, just recently, there was a star about whether you can divorce by consent.
Right.
In Kenya, you cannot divorce by consent. You can only agree amongst the lawyers to reduce the issues in the divorce petition. If you have a petition where you're really going at it, you've put everything on the table, and the other person is feeling like they also want to put everything on the table, then you can come together and agree, can we reduce these issues to just irretrievable breakdown of marriage? That's the only consent that is allowed in divorces.
Can you fast track the process, Advocate Ngungi?
Yes, you can, depending on the circumstances. You see, if for example you need to travel, or even your reasons that you've been separated for quite some time, and you have already moved on, you could always make a special request to the magistrate, and say you'd like this process fast-tracked. And again, this is where I go back to Mariam. Depends on your advocate.
Thank you.
Able to get it that fast-tracked for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Advocate
and
Nyanga.
what if you're both in agreement that you just want to divorce? Is that enough?
Well, there's a procedure, there's documentation, like what she has said. Documents have to be served, there has to be evidence, because one, you understand that this process is irreversible. The moment...
After you filed?
No, after the court has issued the decree absolute, the process is irreversible. You cannot appeal a divorce and say, hey, this divorce happened without my knowledge. I would like an order forcing him to take me back.
Okay.
But
we can remarry
that document. Yeah, you can go back. Okay. You can go back to the AG, pay the 3,500.
Why the AG? I can't go to the church?
Well, you start the registration from the AG's office. Yes. And so, you have to follow the due process. Okay. So, no matter how urgent it is that the two of you have agreed, no, let's finish, we need this done within 1 month. There is a statutory requirement, a time period that once you file, once you receive the notice to serve the other party, they are given at least 15 days.
Wakili, I'm gonna pause you there. When we get back, we're gonna ask Advocate Nyanga. Now, what about those who refuse? One party says, me, I'm inside for life. Much there, Listener, for that to bulletin. And now it is indeed the 6 o'clock hour, and still in studio on this Legal Tuesdays, we've got advocates Eliud Ngungi Esquire and indeed Advocate Lynn Nganga Esquire in the studio. And today, it's it's an emotional week, some say. Okay, to divorce or not to divorce, that is the question. All right, and you know what? It is not something that is new to you or new to me. And we all know somebody who has gotten divorced. And then we also know somebody who's living life like they're in purgatory. Yani those guys who are just they're sitting in their motogaris right now, sasa naenda nyumbani kufanya nini? A dime a dozen. If you have not lived that experience, testimony, like me, myself, and I, yeah, your boys, your girls, somebody is there. They are living in that house. Lakini it is this, like it's the Berlin Wall. Do you remember the Berlin Wall? Mm-hmm. East and West. Home is definitely not best. But somebody wrote in and asked this question. Hi, Wakilis. I've been in a marriage for 26 years, and we have 2 adult children who are each pursuing their own paths. At this point, our marriage exists purely for public appearance. And Mariam, a lot of people do that for public appearance. Mm-hmm. We live under the same roof, but in separate rooms. And we only communicate when absolutely necessary. And don't be thinking where you're sat right now, separate rooms. Oh yeah, that is me. Mm-mm. That was Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Buckingham Palace. When you are told, hey, Wena, please, tafadhali, umesnow hapa sana and I'm tired. My tired is tired. Ebu, go and sleep in the other room. That's the end. But why do you stay? She goes on to say, our love faded about 8 years ago, and we have since stopped loving each other, but we are both perfectly fine with it. That I found a bit funny. What? My husband has a mistress, and I'm also in another relationship. While this is no longer a true marriage, we have never considered separation or divorce. Since we have given each other the freedom to be with whomever we choose, I see no compelling reason to either stay or leave. Lawyers, what would you advise? Would it be reasonable to pursue a divorce in such a situation? And Advocate Nganga, before the break, you clarified there are various. Are they called grounds?
Yes, grounds.
Grounds, and there was please just repeat that. Repeat them. There's adultery.
Yes.
And then
there's cruelty.
Right.
Which was emotional, physical, verbal, and psychological abuse.
Right.
There's desertion, where you've separated with your spouse for 3 years, and irretrievable breakdown of marriage.
Okay. Now, Advocate Ngungi, when we say 3 years, so there is a girl Toto. She's been posted in Wellington, New Zealand. Migwa. Mm-hmm. It's far. So, and I'm in Nairobi, and we're just trying to save money. Okay? Mm-hmm. But then, so she's there for 3 years. She went through Kina Alfred Mutua. So there's none of those yearly tickets. You understand what I mean? Okay. So she's there doing the domestics. Safi. Meanwhile, in Nairobi, so she cannot come back. Yeah, but meanwhile, in Nairobi, I meet Mariam. Okay. Walking along Mombasa Road one fine Tuesday. Okay. So she comes back after 4 years. She's been away for 3 years. Is that still grounds for divorce? Me, I knew she was not going to come back. Okay? Mm-hmm. Until her contract was over. Mm. Wiping windows. Mm. All right? But now she's come back after 4 years. Eh? It was 3 years. Bila us seeing each other. Is that still grounds for divorce?
You knew where she was?
Yeah.
And have you already taken Mariam in?
I did too.
So you even committed a crime called bigamy.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah, and you should be imprisoned.
Allah.
Put in, yeah.
She can get me put inside.
Should be put in because you're married. You're already living with someone else. Now, this is where. Have you gone to the church and maybe done a wedding? Okay, so if you haven't, then you have not committed bigamy. So you're just adulterous. In that process, desertion is a ground.
Okay, so that one, it would be easier then.
No, actually, let me clarify. Desertion is if your spouse has left you for a continuous period of 3 years and you have no communication, you have no whereabouts of your spouse. That's desertion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Safi. So it's those ones who just basically go and disappear, then come back after 15, 20 years. Those stories that we hear.
Yeah, those ones.
Okay, but if I know that they're in Nyalgunga, that's a different story altogether.
I'm sure you talk as well.
Yes. Okay. Now, can we fast track this process? You said yes.
Yes and no. Because when we say yes, you can, you need to have a reason why you want to fast track it, compelling reason why you want to fast track this process. But normally, the process will take between 6 months to 8 months to be completed.
Why do some divorces take years?
When you file a response and you put in, and there's a fight, basically, you have been accused of adultery, and deep down, you know you did not cheat, and you want to come in and put in a response. And some people even do put something we call a cross petition, where now you have sued me, let me also sue you. So I also have a ground, and I want the court to grant the divorce on my ground, not yours of that adultery. I want to say that you are also cruel, psychologically, physically, and obvious. So you collect a whole and you put it there, and you file it in court, and the court says, okay, fine, do you need to file any more papers? And someone comes in and says, actually, I am putting in an application. Let's first of all assess his mind, because this person is a liar. So I'm putting an application requesting this court to order that a mental assessment report be filed in court. You're delaying again. Then as you continue, this gentleman who is being told to go for assessment decides to come over to your house to try and talk to you, but you take it as
he's threatening you.
He's threatening you, and he's trying to risk to maybe even attack you. And you come back to court and you file for a restraining order, and you're putting in an application saying, I want this court, before this case is finalized, to stop this person from ever coming near my gate. And so you find yourself staying in court even for 5 years, back and forth.
A quick one there. What does it mean when you are granted a divorce based on your grounds of seeking for that divorce? What does it mean for you? Why is it important for you to have the divorce on your grounds?
That's a good one.
You want to say that you are able to prove that I'm the one who suffered in this marriage. And for instance, if you accused your spouse of adultery and the court agrees with you and says, I grant the divorce based on the fact that your spouse was adulterous, it's just feeling like you've won.
It has nothing to do with the case that would follow when it comes to property?
So it used to affect the findings of the property case, especially on grounds of cruelty. Because if you were cruel to your spouse, it means they were unable to develop the property. And because you're coming into the property matter saying that I have a claim, it's 50-50, but the court has the divorce court has found you cruel to your spouse to the extent that they were unable to develop, then you don't qualify for the 50-50. So that's why people are really insistent, like, can I win? Can I have this and this? Just because of the property.
Because of the part 2 that's coming up.
Yeah. But also, Kwaj,
yes,
we've said this whole process is emotive. Love in itself is, I don't know how to define it, but you invest in this love. And sometimes you feel that you have been lied to, or that the other person was very unfair, how they decided to leave you, or how they conducted themselves, because you didn't sign up. Remember, when you are getting into the marriage, you didn't sign up with an open clause saying that I'm going to leave after 1 year, I'm going to leave after 10 years. You got in very well, and I'm speaking for the party who is unhappy and who might find themselves on this other side where they are being forced to now walk out. So in the process of doing that, they want to be heard. They come to court, they even come to the advocate saying, hey, can you get me justice? And justice to them is, I want us to prove that this person misbehaved in our marriage. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I expected the society to view me like. I expect the society to view me as a happy wife, a happy mother, a person who stayed in the marriage, and even when the grandchildren came, I would tell them the story about our love. But here you are, the person has decided to misbehave, and you decide, okay, I cannot stand it any longer. Or they even become abusive, maybe, and you didn't know that part of them. And so you just want the court to prove, and you're even thinking, I need to safeguard the next person. I need to safeguard the next relationship they get into. The woman who is going to meet up this man who was violent. So I want to teach him a lesson.
That's a good one. Wakili Nganga. So, yeah, that's deep. So, there's a housewife listening to you right now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She, maybe she gets an allowance. But then obviously, when it gets to this stage, saizo wamekosana. Yeah? She wants to file for divorce. So clearly she has no color. Do you guys take up their causes on knowing on the back end, because there's property involved, that yo ingine utapata baadaye?
No, for me personally, if she's come to me and her rights have been infringed, I'll fight for her.
Oh, very good. And why is it that most men don't file for divorces?
That's actually incorrect.
Yeah?
Many men
yes.
file for divorce.
So is it on the balance?
The belief out there is that it's women who who file for divorces more than men.
It was like that, but with time you're seeing more men coming up. In fact, like in 2023, the statistics was men between 50 and 70 were the ones filing more.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. It just keeps changing.
Yeah.
What is an affidavit in an affidavit? Saying like a lawyer in the divorce process.
An affidavit. In a divorce process, we call it a petition.
A petition.
Yes, that's the one where you outline your grounds for seeking for a dissolution.
Do I have to swear upon it?
Yes.
With the Bible, yani and nani, I cannot embellish at all.
The swearing in comes during the hearing.
Bas.
You have to raise your hand and swear that the contents that you're going to tell the court is the truth.
The lies that one would tell, I tell you. So,
generally, what is the hesitation behind many people not filing for divorce?
Now the question at hand.
One, I'd say money, fear of legal fees, because there is a fear. Let's also be honest with ourselves. There are rumors going around, lawyers charge so much. I don't have the money. Most people may think that they don't have the money for legal fees. But number two, which I find very surprising in this day and era, is the stigma. People are still feeling that they don't want to be termed as a divorcee. How will people look at me? How will the church look at me? Will I serve in church if I'm a divorcee? There's the fear of the title. You're used to Mrs. or Mr. like a husband, but now you lose that title, which I saw last year. I didn't think it's a thing, but now it is, that people actually want that title. They want to be known as Mrs. That I'm married to so-and-so. I belong to this family. I have an identity. When you remove that identity, who am I? So there's that fear as well.
Okay, and then now, in terms of, there's divorce. That is the back end. Now in terms, we've discussed this, Wakili Ngungi. Now we're at the front end. In terms of a prenup, is that also a punitive cost?
You see, you're coming back to the cost. Yet, for example, what you're trying to safeguard are assets that you have acquired as a single person.
Right.
And you don't want them to be included as part of your matrimonial property.
So you'd recommend this?
When you come in, would I recommend this or not? For me, I'm for what you want as a client.
Indeed.
Your instructions. Would you like to instruct me to prepare this document for you? And so, well, again, it will be based on the properties that you have.
Right.
Okay, but wait. So why don't you tell us what the law says about property before marriage, what you acquired before marriage and into marriage?
So any property acquired at the beginning, during, and at the end of a marriage, basically, when you say I do, any property that you acquire the next second is termed as matrimonial property. And you cannot, in case of a divorce and separation, this property will be shared. Or you can lay a claim on this property that was acquired in the course of that marriage. And you should be able to either claim that you directly contributed to this property or indirectly. And directly is that either there was a check issued or a payslip that was deducted, or even M-Pesa, or even improvement of a home. So, but indirectly, it could be that you decided that one person takes care of the children and the other one takes the mortgage.
And this is where I was going to Advocate Nganga. Now, you see, we know less than 50,000 people actually have property. So the majority, when we talk about property, it's what we bought at Hotpoint, such like things. Ne? Right? Sofa, sufuria, such like things. Right?
Curtains.
That means keep your receipt.
If you you see, are you entering a marriage with the conclusion, with the idea that
we are going to divorce one day? No. Not. So how then does that come? We separate, divide that property and then does that include salario?
No, but also can I just, I think it's important that the viewers know that even property you acquired before marriage, if your spouse comes in and develops it, it qualifies as matrimonial property.
At 50-50.
It depends on the weight you pulled in the development. But yes, there's a presumption that it's 50-50.
What is develop? What does develop mean? For example,
improving.
Oh, okay.
No, hold on. Home,
and then she goes and buys. Hold on.
Couches.
And then hold on. Yeah, she goes and buys couches.
My house didn't have windows. I had put up a shell in up country.
No, forget the windows. We are talking about the furniture. That is developing.
Yes.
You're joking.
Yes. Improving the home to look like it looks different from how it was before.
That means even getting the painter to paint the damn thing.
Yes. Even getting someone
Hold on. This is important. For 5,000 bob.
Yes. That's indirect contribution.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Then now it's 50-50. Now you know, don't buy those roses on Friday, my friend.
It's not 50-50. But there's a contribution.
So the court will determine how...
We start at 50-50.
Yes, we do.
Then you justify your 50.
Yes.
And you see how much you can get at the end of it. But even beyond improving a home, even that companionship, keeping that warm, that bed warm at night during that period of time, you can come in and use that as a weight to get you 50.
Yeah. In fact, let me tell you, even your spouse helping you dress up so that you can come to work, or she decides not to work so that she can be the home care giver and allow you to work is also contribution.
So she can say, I bought him that suit.
No, she helped the man be who he was.
She
ironed your shirt.
Yeah. She attended to you so that you can attend to the home.
What about, it's called financial infidelity, if someone is hiding property from the spouse? And
that's actually, we term it as financial abuse. It's cruelty.
It's a thing.
Yeah. It's cruelty under divorces. Why are you hiding from your spouse?
So if I found out that you are buying property secretly and we are going to the divorce court, I can actually sue that one separately and I'm supposed to get 50% of that.
You will not get 50%. It's not a guarantee you'll get 50%.
Okay, I'm going
but
to get
if
a
it's
share of that.
Yeah. Indirect contribution.
Sorry, Wakili, and I don't want to put you on the spot, because I don't want you to go and cause dominoes in the house today. But me, listen, from my experience in this Kenya, okay, I'm not a lawyer, but most of the guys that I know, their wives do not know everything that they've got. Are you saying that's abuse?
Abuse.
Yeah, you should be able to be transparent with your partner.
So those women can find out what's cooking, and they can come and sue for divorce.
As one of the grounds, yeah.
Oh wow!
But also, we're also saying we don't have to sue for divorce because one, our constitution establishes and recognizes marriages as a core pillar of the society.
Right.
Article 45 of our constitution.
Right.
And from that position, even the Succession Act, the MP is called Honorable Kaluma.
Peter Kaluma, yes.
Yeah, went to court and even sought for amendment of this Succession Act, where it was only referring to women,
yes,
or wives. He went and pushed for the amendment of the Succession Act. This is to mean that the family unit is such a strong unit that is recognized that the Constitution expects that we should have more families in this country. And so you don't have to go for that divorce. And if you find that man cheating or maybe he's abusive, we have penal laws where you can get this person arrested, imprisoned, corrected inside the cell, and you forgive this person, and you take them in. So you don't have to always run to for divorces as a first option. We have Article 159 of our Constitution that provides for alternative dispute resolutions. So if this person has been hiding money or property from you, you can as well try and mediate. Call the elders, have this conversation. Don't go straight away and do this, because we've said it's irreversible. It's very difficult to come
by the way, you mentioned it last year. Can you get, you said alternative dispute resolution.
Yes.
Is that the same as arbitration? Arbitration is just civil matters.
It's part of it. Mediation, arbitration, conciliation, even now traditional. There's one on traditional dispute resolution where the elders are called, or some tribes and clans have a mechanism of dealing with certain issues. You could also go to court and request for this to be first applied before you get the determination.
Brilliant. And you know what? Time flies when we're having fun, man. So
I had one question, but are you closing? Because I wanted to know what are the implications of not getting that divorce when you're living separated like that.
You're unhappy.
That's just
like for this particular example, I would be for pro-divorce because of just the one reason. It's the marriage exists purely for public appearance. It has lost its meaning. Why is she there or why is he there?
They're children.
They're adults.
Yeah, because like what I was going to say is that usually it's Advocate Ngungi who closes this one. So Wakili Nganga, now, so this lady is listening to you, and I think you've answered part of that already. We've gone through the Constitution and what the law says and what lawyers would do, but now answer this question directly. I see no compelling reason to either stay or leave, and she's just there. Wakili, what would you advise? Would it be reasonable to pursue a divorce in such a situation? You had started answering it.
Yes, I would say yes. I would say be free. Why would you be in a marriage you don't wish to be? Your partner has also moved on. But what I would advise the lady is, because believe it or not, even though they've been separated for 8 years, once you start the process, so many emotions come up because you now realize this is it. So it's important that they go for counseling just to establish that there's an end coming, so that you don't you're not caught with so many emotions and you're unable to articulate well what you're going through, and just to mourn your marriage. It's a marriage, I'm sure by the time the children are adults, they were hoping to do life. They were hoping that they would see each other grow old together, but that's not the situation. So for just that loss, that mourning period, go for counseling. But yes, if it's time and you feel that it's time to have the divorce, go for it. The good thing is you don't even need to say that your spouse has moved on or you've moved on. You can just say the marriage has irretrievably broken down and we want to part ways.
Hey, that perfectly sets the tone for this weekend. Be sure. Wena. If you think you're being Snoop Doggy Dog and you're catched, maybe she painted the kitchen. Thank you very much, Kamakoida. Hoping to see you next week, by the way. And that is Advocate Lynn Nganga. Asante sana Wakili. Brilliant. Wakili, the firm again is
Lynn Nganga and Company Advocates.
I won't forget that next week. And how does one touch base or follow you?
They can just Google my name, Lynn Nganga. They'll see the website, or they could go to LinkedIn. I'm Lynn Nganga on LinkedIn.
He's off for a conference. Sijui kesho kutwa. Godspeed. God bless you. So still he's got his version of Red going on. Kamakoida, is our man. Future professor. Partner, Ngungi Mburi, advocate Eliud Ngungi, asante sana. Final thoughts for, by the way, do you have a list of counselors? Do you guys have a list of counselors that, if one comes to your chambers, you're like, enda uone moja mbili tatu kwanza? Yeah?
Yes, we do.
Yeah?
Yes, we do.
All right. Your final thoughts? Okay.
Final thoughts? Go for counseling. Process the issues. And once you make that decision, I like the decision when it comes from the client.
Okay.
Because for us as advocates, we will not force you.
I think it's true.
We take instructions. So process the issues. If it is dire and it needs to be resolved and a solution found, and this solution could be parting ways, well and good. Okay,
now the thing about you is that you're a very lucid, eloquent person. Now I want you to talk to somebody, for you're a man also. That the guy, it's just the fear. You see what Wakili Nganga said, but then a lot of dudes, it's like we said, it's the fear. Talk to him as a lawyer.
As a lawyer, you don't have to. Today, someone was told me one thing. Remember who you are, and
I like that.
And stick to who you are. So, if as a man you're in an abusive relationship, because I've met clients who are in abusive relationships, and for men, most of us don't speak. We are not brave enough to open up and talk about the issues we are going through. But you need to remember who you are. You're a man. You have an identity. You need to go back to that identity. And if it means that you have to walk away from an abusive marriage, walk away from disrespect, walk away from adulterous relationship, remember who you are. A man of value, and you should make that decision.
Now it looks like a tennis match, because then I've got to also let you to have a... You can't spew lyrical like that and then you just walk out the studio. Wakili Nganga.
Yes.
The fear as well for the ladies. What would you... I like what you said, that, do you know what it is? Just stop the fear, yeah? But go through the process. Would you advise the same to ladies?
Absolutely. Know who you are.
Yeah.
Don't ever lose yourself because of a marriage. Yeah.
Wakili Lynn Nganga and Eliud Ngungi Esquires. Thank you, advocates, for coming through. Godspeed. We'll see you next week. And happy Valentine's!